It's TK Friday, and today it's a full edit of Sunrise in Yellowstone. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly, and welcome to TK Friday. Today it's a full edit of this beautiful image by Mike Christian that I'm calling Sunrise in Yellowstone. We have a beautiful moon up in the sky that I'll enlarge a little bit just to bring it out a bit more. You can download this image along with my PDF notes for my edit, which you can change and make it your own edit, but I'll give you my suggestions for this edit. I'll have Dropbox links in the description below this video for you so you can download the image and the PDF notes. If you have an image you would like me to edit on a TK Friday, go to the description of the video, scroll down through, you're going to find a contact me link. Contact me and we can discuss doing one of your images on a TK Friday. By the way, if you don't yet own the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, I'll have links in the description below this video that'll take you over to Tony Kemper's web store. There you're going to find the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, a lot of great panels over there you can pick up. Sean Bagshaw's training videos, which I highly recommend. And you'll also find the TK Grayscale and TK Magic Mixer plugins. They're sold as a bundle. You'll get both plugins for $12. If you're into black and white photography, you'll love TK Grayscale and TK Magic Mixer. Use my promo code DK15 and you'll save 15% off your entire purchase. When you use my promo code, I make a small commission, and this helps to support my channel, so I really appreciate it when you use my promo code. And not only are you helping me out, but you're getting 15% off. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, as always, I start out here in Lightroom Classic. I'm using a linear profile in this image. I just click Auto, make sure I'm not clipping my white or black point. I want the image relatively flat going into Photoshop, where I will do all the heavy lifting there using the TK9 plugin for Photoshop. Now, as far as detail, no sharpening, and I did use the AI noise reduction from Lightroom. And as far as lens corrections, I always check on remove chromatic aberration as well as enable profile corrections. No crop in this image, and that's basically it. Now at this point, I just right click on the image, go to Edit In, and click on Edit in Photoshop 2026. And now here we are in Photoshop. Now the first thing I want to do is enlarge this moon. I'll show you how I did it. By the way, you can download the image with the moon already enlarged or the image just like this. You have two choices here in case you want to enlarge that moon yourself. Now, to enlarge the moon, I just grabbed the marquee tool and just did a marquee right around the moon. And notice I made a rectangle shape and made it a little bit off center, and I did that for a reason, which you'll see here in a second why. Now, what we need to do is put this up on a new layer. We'll cut out this rectangle, do a Command or Control J, and that'll jump that up to a new layer. And then you want to do a Command or Control T to go into your transform, and then make sure you check this little box right here. You see this little target here? If you drag this over, you want to drag it right over the moon so we enlarge from this point right here. Now, if you make this a perfect square and you're not quite in the center, it's hard to move this little target right over the moon, so that's why I make the rectangle. And then if you hold down your Alt or Option key and click on any one of the handles, it'll just resize right in place and make it as large as you want it. Okay, so I think right about there. You don't want to go too big. And then click on this checkbox to accept that transform. And then what I do is click on this button on the Combo CX panel to put a black hide all mask there. And then grab your white brush, click your white brush tool on your Combo or CX panel. Make sure you're at 100% opacity. If not, type your 0 key. And now with a nice soft edge brush, just paint in your moon just like so. And that's it. So here's the before and here's the after. That's how easy it is. And now let's get started. Now, as always, I like to open up with a balance and contrast adjustment of both sky and foreground just to make sure they all match together really nicely. And to do that, I'm going to use David Tillett's BNC landscape action. The PDF notes show you how to do this all manually, but to save time in the video, I'm just going to use this BNC Photoshop landscape action. So I'll click this button right here. And note that the foreground layer is active. The sky layer is above it. They're both curves adjustment layers with a midtones 3 mask for the foreground and the sky, just to keep me from clipping shadows and highlights when I make my adjustments with the color grading tool. Now, the color grading tool controls the curves adjustment. I'm working on the foreground. I'll click the midtone button. I just want to lighten up the midtones a little bit, not too much. I'll drag this brightness slider to the right over to right there, 35. And I just want to warm it up a little bit. You see my cursor right here? You can click anywhere in this color wheel and color grade the image. And I just want to warm it up a bit. So I'm going to click like right here. And now I'll click on the shadow button. And just darken up the shadows, not too much, just a little wee bit. I'll take this to the left over to right there, -11. And now I'm going to click on the highlight button and I want to open up the highlights a little bit. I'll drag this over to right there, 31. Now I'll shut this layer off. Here's before and here's after. And now click on the sky layer to make it active and click on the midtone button on the color grading tool. And I just want to darken up the midtone. So we're going to drag the brightness slider to the left and I'll take it to right there, -32. And I do want to just give it a little bit more blue color grade, not too much. So I'm going to click like right about here. And now let's open up the highlights. Click on the highlight button and drag this to the right. And I took mine over to right there, 39. Now let me shut off this layer. Here's before, here's after. Now if we come to the combo or CX panel, click this button, we can see the overall before. Here's the before. And here's the after. So we're off to a good start. I'm done with the color grading tool, so I'll click the X on the color grading tool and shut that down. Nothing changes on the color grading layers. Now, the next thing I want to do is work on the foreground a little bit more, and I think I want to adjust all the different zones 1 through 5, and to do that, I'll use a brightness contrast adjustment, but first, what we need to do, hold down your Shift key and click on this button right here for a brightness contrast adjustment layer, and what you're going to get is a group with all of these different zonal adjustments in them, starting with zone 1. Now, I only want it in the foreground, and we do have the group, so click on the group, make it active. Click on the Layer Mask Calculator button, click Foreground, and then click this button to apply that mask to the group. You see that? So now we're only going to be affecting the foreground, and then come back and click on zone 1. And you'll note in your properties panel, you're going to have your brightness contrast adjustment. So we're going to adjust it here. If you want to see what zone 1 affects, come to the combo or CX panel and click the double arrow magenta button, and you can see this is the zone it's hitting right in here, okay? The darker tones. Click this button again to go back to the image, and what I did here was, and this is my edit, you can make your adjustment however you want it, okay? This is my interpretation of the image, okay? So I took my brightness adjustment and I took it to the left and I took it over to right there, -46, and then I took the contrast and I gave it a bit of contrast to right here, 15. And now if I shut off this layer, here's the before and here's the after. See, I just made those shadows a little darker. Then I went to zone 2 and again, click the double arrow magenta button. You can see where that zone hits, all those areas in there, okay? And for this adjustment, I took the brightness up to 42 and I gave it a bit of contrast right there, 18. Now let me shut this one off. Here's before and here's after. I just wanted to lighten up that area a bit, but I don't like what's happening up in here, okay? So we can take care of that. We have a mask on this layer. So on the combo or CX panel, click on the black brush button. Make sure you're at 100% opacity. If you're not, type your 0 key. That'll get you to 100%. And now with a nice soft edge brush, just paint that adjustment off this area right in here, just like that. And then up in here a little bit, I think should be good. Make sure I got it all. Yeah, maybe down into here. And now let me shut off this layer. Here's before and here's after. See, it's keeping it out of this area up here. And now let's click on zone 3. Let's see where that zone hits. So click this button again on the combo or CX panel. We can see the zones where that's hitting at, and it's also hitting up in here. I don't think that's going to be good, but we'll see. Click this button again. And now let's make the adjustment. And I'm really only interested in this shadow area down in here, okay? Not up in this area, but let's go ahead and adjust for the shadow area. I'll take the brightness to the right and I'll take it over to 35. And now I'll give it some contrast. Take this to the right over to right there, 22. Let me shut this off. Here's before, here's after. And again, I don't like what's happening up in here. So here's what you can do. Hold down your Alt or Option key, click on this mask and drag it up to zone 3. And you'll copy that mask up. And now let me shut this off. Here's before, here's after. See, now it's only staying down in here. And now click zone 4 to make it active. Click the double arrow magenta button so we can see where that zone hits. And now click this button again to go back to the image. I think I want to reduce the brightness a bit, so I'll take the brightness over to right there, -21. And let's give it a bit more contrast over to right there, 28. I'll shut this off. Here's before and here's after. And now let's click on zone 5. And I just want to reduce the brightness a little bit. And I'll take this over to -17. And now I'm done with zones, so I can collapse this group. And that's important because if you don't do that, your next adjustment will go in that group. And now let's shut off the group. Here's before the zone adjustments and here's after. Now I think that's way too strong. So what I'm going to do is adjust the opacity of this group. Now you could click right here and just drag this back and then pull it up slowly. In other words, like this, take it back and then pull it up slowly and stop where you think it looks good. Or if you have opacity plus, you can let's try 50% by clicking on the 5. This is 50%. That looks pretty good. If I want it a little stronger, let's try 60%. I'll click on the 6. Now, if you right click on the 6, you can see the before, right click again, and you can see the after. And I think I like it there. But again, this is my interpretation of the image. You can adjust those zones any way you want. But for me, I think I went a little overboard, and I think by pulling this back to 60% gets me where I want it to be. And now I'm looking at these trees back here. I'd like to bring a little bit of life into them, make them a little bit more green. I'll use a color balance adjustment for this, but first I'm going to click on the color mask button. And I'm going to click like right about here and click OK. And now I want to take the brightness slider and drag this over to the right, over to say like right about here to lighten that up. Now I'm getting a lot more than the green area up here. So I'm going to do something called mask the mask. What I'll do is click on Photoshop selection brush. And with a nice hard edge, all I want to do is paint over the areas that I know are trees. And that's like right up in here and over in this area right into here. And then if we click this button, we'll do something called mask the mask. So click it, a Gaussian blur dialog comes up, and I want to give it some feathering. And I think I'm going to take this over to like right here and click OK. That just feathers it out a little bit. It'll just blend a little bit better on the edges. And I want to output this to a color balance adjustment layer. So click this hamburger menu and click this button right here. And now you'll note that we have that mask on a color balance adjustment layer. And I'll start with midtones. I'll start with magenta green. I'll shift this more towards green. I'll move this to the right to right there, +29, and I'll shift it a little more yellow. I'll move this to the left over to right there, -4. Now let's go and click on shadows. I just want to add a little bit of green to the shadows, not much, right over to right there, +12. And now let's click on highlights. And just add a tiny bit of green to highlights right there, +5. Let's shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Now, if you want, make sure your mask is selected. Click on your black brush. If you overshot any area, like I think I did right here with a brush at 100% opacity, I can just paint that off. Just in case I went over and got some green out into these areas. I don't want that. And maybe up in here, I think I may have overshot this a little bit. So let's just clean it up. I think that's good. Now, I think it's a little too strong now. You could pull back on the layer opacity. I'm going to use opacity plus. And by the way, opacity plus is free. You could pick it up at Tony Kuiper's web store. And I think I'm going to reduce that. Let's try 80%. I'll click on the 8. Let's try 7. I'll click on the 7. Yeah, I don't want that too strong. Let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Yeah, I think I like that better. The next thing I want to do is work in this water, bring out a little bit of drama. And to do that, I'm going to use an object selection tool. So click on your object selection tool. I'm in rectangle mode, hard edges unchecked, and I'll just make a selection of that water, just like that. And then click on the color grading tool. I'll start with the midtones. I'll click on the midtone button. I just want to lighten up the midtones just a little bit, and I'll drag the brightness slider to the right over to right there, 15. Now I'll click on the shadow button, and I just want to darken up the shadows a little bit, and I'll drag this brightness slider to the left over to -15. Now let's go back and click on the midtone button because the water's a little blue and I want to offset that. So I think I'm going to click right here and add a little warm tone to that, like right here. Now let's shut off this layer. Here's before and here's after. Yeah, I like that better. It brings out a little bit of drama in the water. The next thing I want to do is lighten up or dodge some of these light areas down in here just to bring out a little more drama here. This is an artistic expression. You can leave this step out if you want to, but to do that, I'll use a dodge tool. So come to the Combo or CX panel. You can use the right or the left side of the dodge tool. I'm going to use the right side. It gives you a blank pixel layer in the overlay blend mode with a white brush. Now, I only want 10% opacity, so I'll type my 1 key to give me 10% opacity, and I want to use blend diff to help me. So right now, my color grading tool's in the way. Click the X. I only want to hit the light areas, so I'm going to click on the Edit Blend Diff button and then click the 1 for Lights 1. It's only going to hit the light areas of the image. And now with a nice soft edge brush, I'm just going to paint on some of these light areas, just randomly, the ones I think that could help. And you got to use your artistic license here and decide which ones you want to lighten up. I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to work on both sides here, and I'll show you my final result. And now let me show you my final result. Right now the dodge layer is off. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so here's before, here's after. Now I think it's too strong, so I'll use opacity plus. And what I decided on was like 70%, so I'll click on the 7. And now if I right click on the 7, there's before. I'll right click again, and now here is the after. And now I want to show you something. Let's go up to the Edit Blend Diff panel. If I uncheck gray, you can see what it looks like without the Blend Diff protection. See how that looks? But you see what Blend Diff does? It just really targets the light areas. Again, here's the before, and here's the after. That dodging was so much fun. Now I'm going to turn my attention up to this area of the image, and I want to do some burning this time. So let's get a burn tool. We can come to the Combo or CX panel and use the left or the right side of the burn tool. It doesn't matter. I'll click on the right side, and we're going to get a blank pixel layer, this time in the soft light blend mode. But this time I'm looking for shadows, so I'm going to click on the Darks 1 button on the Edit Blend Diff panel just to target darks. And now with that nice soft edge 10% brush, just look for some dark areas. You got to use your artistic license here and find out which areas you want to darken. And that's all up to you because you have to use your artistic eye to see these things, okay? Takes a little practice, but in time, you'll figure it out. I'm going to finish this up and get back to you and show you my final result. Now, let's see the result. Right now, the burn layer is turned off. Let me turn it on. This is with the burning. This is without the burning. I'll turn it back on. I think it's a little too strong, and so I think I'm going to try 70%. I'll click on the 7. I'll right-click on the 7. There's before. I'll right-click again, and here is after, and I like that. Now, if I disable Blend Diff by unchecking gray, you can see what it looks like without the help of Blend Diff. You see that? This is without Blend Diff, and I'll click this again. This is with Blend Diff. See, it just really targets the dark areas. Again, here's the before. Here's the after. I really like it, and I think that really helps. I'm done with Edit Blend Diff for now, so I'll click the X to close the panel. I want to add a vignette to the image, so if your TK actions aren't open, click a TK button on the Combo or CX panel, click Vignette. A Gaussian blur dialog comes up. I always just click OK. I think the effect's too strong. It defaults at 30% opacity. I'll click on my 2 button, and that gets me 20%, a little less. I want to protect the darkest darks and the lightest lights from getting the vignette. So we'll click on the Edit Blend Diff button again, and I'll click this button for no darks to, no lights to. And now let's shut off the vignette. Here's before, here's after, just a nice subtle vignette. One final finishing step. I'm looking at this waterfall. There's a little bit of a yellow color cast on here, so I want to remove that. I'm going to close the Edit Blend Diff panel by clicking the X. I'm going to click this button to get a hue saturation adjustment layer and click on the target tool. And what I want to do is click and drag to the left just to remove that yellow color cast. Maybe not the whole way off, but just a little bit, maybe to right about here. Now I've removed yellow from the entire image, so we can put a black mask on here by clicking this button on the Combo or CX panel. And now get a white brush, click on the white brush tool and make sure you're at 100% opacity. I'm at 10, so I'll type my 0 key. That gets me 100%. Nice soft edge brush. I just want to paint off the color cast down in this area, right like so. I just think that looks a little bit better. Let me shut this off. Look in that area. Here's before, here's after. I think that helps. And now let's really have a little bit of fun and see where we started from. So come to the Combo or CX panel and click this button. This is the overall before when you click it. click it again, and this is the after. I'm happy with the final edit. I do hope that you give this edit a try. Don't forget, download the image and the PDF notes and, make this edit your own. Do what you want to the image. It's all up to you. The idea here for me is just to give you a good understanding of how this TK9 plugin for Photoshop works, and it helps you in your Photoshop workflow. Well, there it is, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's TK Friday. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click the bell notification icon. Click all so that you receive all notifications. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. And I will see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.